Hey, this is Louis from aFe. Today we're going to be installing our Magnum Force intake on this 2024 Ford Raptor 5.2 supercharge. All right, our first step is going to be removing this bolt. We're going to use a 13mm socket. We're going to keep this for later use. Then we're going to grab our pry tool. We're going to remove these two clips. So now we're going to disconnect our intake air temperature sensor. And we're going to remove the two clips that are holding on the harness off the air box. We're going to loosen up the throttle body clamp by using a 7mm nut driver. Once that's loosened, what we want to do is we're going to disconnect this vacuum hose by simply pulling on it. And you're done with that step. All right, what we found was best was to split the tool in half, get one in, one at a time. Once it's in, go ahead and push up and pull the crank hose off. Now we're going to remove the intake as a whole. We want to make sure the harness is not in the way so we don't pull it when we remove the intake. All we're going to simply do is just lift up and out of the vehicle. This is our Magnum Force Intake System. The part number for this is going to be 54-13080. And what we have here is going to be the housing, our air filter, the hardware we're going to need for this installation, our tube, our coupler, and this is going to be a key component that we will discuss later in the video. All right, so we're going to transfer this factory grommet over to our Magnum Force housing. We're going to remove the sleeve, pop the grommet out, transfer it right over. Okay. Now we're going to add our filter in. We're going to remove this clamp, slide the filter in. We're going to snap it into place. Now we're going to add our seal trim. We're going to start from here. So now we're going to install the provided harness onto the factory harness, and this is for our intake temperature sensor. We're going to zip tie our cable by using the provided zip ties. We're going to zip tie it to this hole right here. So it's out of the way, and that's going to give us enough room to plug in the sensor to the tube. And we'll zip tie this out of the way as well. Right there. All right, so now we're going to add our grommet to our tube for our intake temperature fitting. Gonna slide this in there. All right, so we want to make sure the fitting's orientated the right direction. One way we could find that out is by looking at the arrow. We want it to be pointing towards the aFe logo. Now we're going to transfer our sensor over to our aFe tube. We're going to simply rotate and lift up. We're going to put it into our aFe tube and lock it into place. Here's a closer look what it should look like. Now that our sensor's installed, we're going to flip the tube around. We're going to add the provided fitting. Screw it in. And then using an adjustable wrench, we'll tighten it up the rest of the way. Just until it's snug. It does not need to go all the way down. So just like that, that'll be perfect. So on the 2024 Plus models, you might get a check in your light with our intake kit. And the fix is this tube. The code is going to be P2C90. And in order to fix it, you want to orientate this towards the supercharger. Now we're going to install the housing into our vehicle. Gotta make sure that we set it in the grommets. And we're going to add the screw we removed earlier. Now we're going to tighten it up. We're good. We're going to use the provided clips to secure the front of the housing. We're going to install this fitting that's provided in the kit. And all we're gonna do is just push it in there until it stops on the first step. We're gonna pre-install our clamps. We're gonna install the coupler onto our throttle body. And we're gonna connect our vacuum hose back on there. As we discussed earlier, we wanna make sure that our vent tube in here is facing the right way towards the supercharger to avoid a check engine light. What we want to do is we want to slide it into the coupler first and then into our filter. Make sure everything's aligned pretty well. Now that our tube is in, we want to tighten up all our clamps. Now we're going to connect our sensor back and we're going to reconnect our crank hose back on. All right, now that our installation is complete, we're gonna give you guys some sound clips just to see how this beast sounds. Now that we heard those amazing sounds out of this Raptor, it's ready to hit the road. Thank you guys for choosing aFe Power. We'll see you in the next video.